Hello and welcome to the Graham and Sibbald Podcast. My name is Jorja McAndrew and I'll be the person asking all the property questions that you would like to know the answer to. Today we're going to be joined by two members of the Graham and Sibbald team from Asset Services, and they're going to give us some insights into what the new regulations are and how the team can support client needs to ensure compliance. So with no further ado, on with the show. Welcome to the latest Graham and Sibbald podcast. We're back and we're refreshed and so excited to bring you the latest property news and updates. We are joined today by Claire Peebles and Stephen Reynolds, who are both members of the Asset Services team. Hello to you both.
Hi, Jorja.
Hi, Jorja.
Hi, how are you both today?
Yeah, all good. All good.
Great, thank you.
Good, glad to hear it. So to get us started, can you each tell us a little bit about your role within Graham and Sibbald? So Claire, let's start with you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having us today, Jorja. So I'm a director within our Asset Services team, and our role here is to provide core services to our clients, which is delivering minimising operational costs and boosting asset value where we can. We support our landlords and occupiers for core services for things like rent and service charge collection and compliance, which is obviously one of the things we'll be talking about today. And we also do things like landlord consent applications and way leave applications, for example. But yeah, within our Asset Services team, we have a dedicated facilities management team. And I'm mentioning that today purely because we work so closely with our facilities management team on things like compliance, which is really important to what we're talking about today. So yeah, I thought I would mention that just before Stephen does his intro too.
Brilliant, thank you, Claire. And what about you, Stephen?
Hi, Jorja. Thank you. So I'm Senior Facilities Manager at Graham and Sibbald. I've been with the business for about 9 months now. My role, along with the rest of the FM team, is managing the facilities across our portfolio of properties. As part of this, compliance is a kind of key element within FM, and that kind of leads us on nicely to today's subject.
Brilliant. Thanks, Stephen. So obviously today we're here to talk about the new commercial fire regulations. So I think the best place to start is probably to ask what are the latest changes that have been introduced?
Yeah, no problem. The kind of key change is in relation to how the fire service will attend any activations. Previously, the fire service would have attended call-outs which were triggered via an alarm receiving centre. Now, that's no longer going to be the case. The fire service will only attend where a fire is identified via an appointed fire warden. Essentially, what we've been doing in the background is putting in place the correct measures to navigate these changes. It's also important to kind of recognise properties where there's sleeping accommodation. The fire service will still be attending those properties, and it's kind of key to establish what properties that are managed within the portfolio and ensuring the correct people are required. For example, alarm receiving centres, the fire service, making sure that they're all aware of the properties, the style of properties that we manage.
Okay, brilliant. So how does that kind of impact existing properties?
So yeah, I think it will impact different sectors in various different ways. You know, if you think about the different sectors in commercial property, you know, taking a multi-occupied office block, for example, probably the one thing that will affect, you know, those types of properties would be waiting times, I would say, because, you know, the fire services will be out within a set amount of time for a call out, but you're now looking to a key holder attending, you know, and depending on your SLAs with those particular contractors, then, you know, that you may be looking at longer waiting times for businesses to re-enter premises. That's going to be a bit of an operational impact that we foresee. But if you think about the other sectors that might be involved, you know, like leisure, manufacturing, production, you know, all those types of sectors, it's going to be different impacts for them, because the waiting times could have major impacts for those types of sectors, rather than, you know, a sort of standard multi-occupied office block. So I think we foresee there being different impacts across different sectors, and even taking it right down to maybe like laboratories and the functions that they have within their sectors too. So yeah, operationally, I think that's going to be the biggest impact. But like Stephen touched on, where we've got sleeping accommodation, I mean, that might still be that you've got a commercial lease over a property, but it has sleeping accommodation in there. They will still attend during for a call out for that type of building. So yeah, it's just to sort of, that's quite important to recognise, like Stephen said. So yeah, that's the biggest impact that we see, is probably waiting times and to get re-enter back into the buildings, and how that will impact on individual businesses.
Great, thank you, Claire. So what is best practice when it comes to ensuring fire safety and regulation compliance?
Best practice would be just to manage the risk overall. So kind of one of the key elements would be ensuring you have fire risk assessments in place for all of your properties. On the back of that, ensure that any actions within the fire risk assessment are kind of actioned within the timescales. Obviously, there's various different types of actions there. They're usually in a kind of RAG status, so red, amber, green. Picking up the red actions and the amber actions. The green actions tend to be more of an advisory. So yeah, that's kind of one of the one of the key elements to have in place. Another would be a good maintenance regime. So generally, maintenance should be carried out to SFG 20 standards. So each property will have their different requirements. Your risk assessment should identify individual requirements for that property and the fire safety associated with the property. So yeah, maintaining fire panels, fire devices, fire extinguishers, etc., ensuring all of them are in date and being maintained to the SFG 20 standards. Another key point would be planned fire evacuations. It's good practice. Again, it'll be key to, for example, it'll be key to a live fire, God forbid. But yeah, that will put in place the correct measures if there was ever to be a live fire.
Great, thanks, Stephen. Some really useful, helpful points there. I just want to know if there's any further actions people can take.
Yeah, there's a few additional actions that that anyone can take. So one of the key ones would be insurance, so notifying insurers. The additional steps that we've put in place, fire wardens, training requirements, etc. It's really key to close those gaps and ensure whoever's going to be the trained person that's going to inform the fire service, ensure that they're trained to be a fire warden, and we've got a copy of their certification. That's going to be a key point for us as well. Fire evacuation policy. Obviously, each site will have their own site-specific information. Some sites have their own quirks. So yeah, it's key to hold all of that information, the evacuation policy itself and any site-specific information.
And obviously this is a Graham Sibbald podcast, so obviously we want to know, how can Graham and Sibbald help with all of this?
Yeah, absolutely, Jorja. So, as part of our asset services, we've been growing and expanding in recent years. And one of the things that Graham and Sibbald have really been focusing on is our technology. So we've really invested in integrated technology systems. It's providing us with solutions that where we have systems effectively communicating with each other. So if we think about compliance, where we have, because we're talking about fire today, where we have fire risk actions, we've got systems that essentially speak to each other, and those actions come through to our property managers so that we can manage them on a personal level, so that we are actually picking them up and they're implemented in both systems. And we've got a dedicated health and safety expert that sits within our team, and I've mentioned obviously our facilities management team. So we've got a real holistic approach, you could say, to delivering compliance for our portfolio. And I think Stephen's touched on a good PPM regime, and that's something that we can really help our clients, landlords and occupiers with, a real belts and braces approach to compliance.
Great, guys. Lots of words of wisdom there. I guess finish up. Is there anything else you would like to add today?
Yeah, I think maybe around the FM team. It's a fairly new team and function within Graham Sibbald. Hopefully it's kind of quickly proven beneficial to the team. We've been kind of overcoming various issues with like Claire mentioned a few moments ago, with the expertise that the team have. But I think kind of what maybe sets us out from others is it's a kind of real team approach, if you like. So the approach that we've kind of been taking is a real personal approach. The FM team and the PMs and the rest of the asset services team working really closely, and I think that's shown in how we've kind of managed to pull all of this together. Timescales have been extremely tight, so yeah, I think it's worked pretty well so far, and yeah, the team have come together and managed to pull it together in quite a short timescale. Also, we've got a good kind of geographical spread. Myself, kind of based in the west of Scotland. We've got another senior FM who's based in the east of Scotland. So we've got a real good geographical approach throughout Scotland, and yeah, we've got various other FM functions located throughout the UK.
We wanted to touch on the fact that today we're speaking about fire regulations, which is obviously really important, but we also, our knowledge expands beyond fire regulations, and we deal with lots of statutory compliance, such as Legionella, health and safety, electrical, gas, all those types. Really diverse in our portfolio, which includes, offices, industrial, shopping centres, for example. But yeah, we basically maintain health and safety obligations for our clients, and we also act on behalf of occupiers to deliver that too. So yeah, it's just to sort of get out there that we do more than fire regulations.
That's great. Thank you, Claire. I'm afraid that's all we have time for today on the Graham and Sibbald podcast. So Claire and Stephen, thank you so much. And I guess I'll let you get back to work now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jorja.
Thanks, guys. Thanks again to Claire and Stephen for coming on today's episode of the Graham and Sibbald podcast. For more information on the full service offering by the Graham and Sibbald Asset Services team, please visit their website at www.g-s.co.uk. And as always, you can catch up on all our podcasts up to date via the playlist on the Graham and Sibbald YouTube channel. You don't want to miss it. Thank you so much for listening, and we look forward to you joining us next time. Thanks, bye!